The Special Rapporteur, David Johnston, testifying. Let's listen in.
Are working in hostile and clandestine ways to undermine our democracy. I came to that conclusion after an intensive review of top-secret intelligence and interviews with senior intelligence, security, and elected officials. Methods of foreign interference are rapidly becoming more sophisticated. I have identified significant shortcomings in the government's ability to detect, deter, and combat this threat. This must be remedied urgently. C'est pourquoi la prochaine...
That is why the next phase of my work, which will be a public process, will look at how to best fight foreign interference. Beginning next month, I will hold public hearings where Canadians will be able to hear publicly from government representatives, experts, and security and intelligence officials. And critically, we will hear from those diaspora communities who are most impacted by the hostile efforts of foreign governments. For this work, I will be supported by 3 special advisors with expertise in national security intelligence, law, and diaspora community matters. Together, we will develop recommendations on the urgent changes necessary to protect Canada's democratic institutions and, crucially, Canadians' faith in these institutions.
I think it important that I acknowledge the motion passed last week in the House of Commons. I have deep respect for the House of Commons and for its right to express an opinion on my work. I have heard clearly the disagreement with my recommendations not to call a public inquiry, as well as allegations about my integrity and my independence. These allegations are, put simply, false, and the decision to repeat them does not make them true. The issue of foreign interference deserves serious and robust debate. I will continue to invite disagreement on my recommendations, but will not be deterred from completing my work. I would respectfully remind this committee and all Canadians that I have not simply asked you to take me at my word. Experts and parliamentarians with the necessary security clearance will be able to review not only my work, but also the detailed intelligence on which it's based. Should NSICOP, NSIRA, and opposition leaders disagree with my conclusions, I have asked them to say so publicly, which they are very much permitted to do. En conclusion,
To conclude, I wish to remind Canadians and the members of this committee that my mandate is only one part of an array of work and initiatives that can be undertaken to detect, deter, and fight against foreign interference.
Canadians and the members of this committee that my mandate is only one part of an array of work and initiatives that can be undertaken to address this threat. Therefore, I encourage the contributions of others, including this committee, to help ensure Canada is well equipped to detect, deter, and combat foreign interference. Thank you, and I welcome questions. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston, for those opening comments. I will share that the bells are ringing. The screen is on for everyone's information. I do believe we can get through our first 2 rounds. So I will start at 10 minutes to you, Mr. Brock, followed by 10 minutes to Mr. Turnbull. Mr. Brock.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll be splitting my time with my colleague, Mr. Barrett. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Johnston. Thank you for your attendance today. Through you, Madam Chair, Mr. Johnston, in 2010, Justin Trudeau, as a private citizen before entering into politics, told CBC Radio that you were a great dinner companion. He specifically said, quote, "We had great conversations around dinner tables, around all sorts of things. This was said around the same time that you were being appointed as our Governor General. Were you aware of that statement, sir?
Madam Chair, I was not aware of that statement in connection with Mr. Trudeau. My meeting with him occurred when he was 10 or 11 years old, skiing with my children 4 or 5 times.
Thank you,
at Mont
Mr.
Tremblant.
Johnston. We'll get into
And I
those
had had no
areas. My
meeting
time
with
is
him
very
since
limited,
that
sir.
time.
Sir, I got another question for you. As Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau described you as a lifelong family friend, a friendship cemented over many summers as neighboring cottagers in the Laurentians. You never corrected the Prime Minister in his characterization of your relationship with him. Isn't that correct?
Madam Chair, the connection I had with Mr. Trudeau.
Mr. Johnston, I apologize for interrupting you, but the question is, did you?
I'm going to pause. I didn't think it'd be this early into the meeting, Mr. Brock. You and I have had an exchange before, so you know very well that comments are through the chair. I can assure you that the Prime Minister and I have not gone to the cottage together. And so I would just say that if we can just pause and take a second, that's why I wanted to provide a little bit more time. I will provide leniency to ensure that we get to where you need to get to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the question to Mr. Johnston was, did you characterize or did you change that statement that Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister made to you about you being a lifelong family friend cemented over many summers as neighboring cottagers in the Laurentians? Did you confirm or deny that, sir?
Madam Chair, I was not familiar with the statement that has just been made. I was friends of the father of Mr. Trudeau through his life in politics, and when we tried to engage him with the University of Montreal to be a professor on his return. My last particular meeting with the current Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. I'm going to be getting into areas where you can expand upon things that you've done with the Prime Minister. I need to move on. My time is limited. In 2016, 6 years into your role as Governor General, you gave an interview to the CTV. You were asked about your views of having the Trudeau family living on the grounds of Rideau Hall. Without pause or hesitation, you said it was wonderful because their children played with your grandchildren in the garden. That was pretty exciting to have the next generation together, bringing the place alive. That statement was accurate, correct?
Madam Chair, I don't remember that particular statement, but it is true that the Trudeau family lived in
Thank you,
Rideau
Mr.
College.
Johnston. You further stated in the same interview that the Trudeaus were very good tenants.
Point of order, Mr. Turnbull.
You've seen now repeated Mr. Brock cutting off the witness when he's not being given the chance to respond. I would appreciate it if at least we could just let Mr. Johnston respond to the question he's being asked. I think that's decorum and normal practice.
Madam Chair, if I may respond, my time is very limited. The question was centered on as to whether or not the statement was accurate. It did not require the witness to elaborate.
I'm just going to respond really quickly, and I feel that Brock has high ratings. We've been here for a long time. I think you know how I operate as chair now as well. And I do believe these points of orders and me interrupting, which I don't want to do, actually just takes away from the time that we're talking about being so precious. Allowing the witness to finish a sentence, I do not think would take too much time, and I think it's appropriate just to let the witness answer. Mr. Brock, I agree the time is yours, but let's just be mindful, and I think we can get through this. And I know you can, Mr. Brock, so I'm going to pass you back the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You further stated that your wife Sharon and yourself became good friends with the Trudeaus, that your relationship with Pierre Trudeau went back to children's days when the families would get together to ski at Mont Tremblant. You stated that the 3 Trudeau boys were the same age as your 5 daughters, that you became a ski party at Mont Tremblant. You stated that your children had enormous respect for Pierre Elliott Trudeau. He was a wonderful father and very good with the children who at this point were teenagers, that he would lead them into discussions such as democracies in the world. And then in 2017, sir, you interviewed with Paul Wells. You talked of knowing Justin Trudeau since he was 6 years old, as both families shared adjacent cottages in the Laurentians. In 2017, sir, the Prime Minister paid tribute to you, calling you a family friend and a friend of his father. He ended his comments by saying to both of you and your wife, "Thank you, my friends." You privately or publicly did not object to the assessment of your friendship with Justin Trudeau. Now let's fast forward to your press conference of May the 23rd. You were on record stating the following basic facts of your so-called
All right, we have been listening
friendship
in
with
to
Justin Trudeau.
David Johnston
Your words,
testifying
sir,
before the
were
Committee on
so
Procedure and
outrageous
Housing
that
Affairs
you
after deciding against a public inquiry on foreign election interference. And we will jump back in throughout the morning.